Hi, everyone. We missed you last week. Hi, everyone. We missed you last week. It's resounding. Is it resounding now?
Yeah.
I think it's fine. It's fine now.
No,
okay,
no, it's,
good.
it's resounding. Yeah, I don't know why it's repeating.
It's fine. How about now?
Yeah.
I think we
yeah.
fixed that. Okay, good,
Yeah.
good. Excellent. Well, there was a minor glitch. We could handle that. Let us know how you're doing and where you're joining us from. Those of us who are meeting us for the first time, I am Dr. Arjun Rayapudi, and this is my lovely wife, Dr. Shobha Rayapudi. We're both the co-founders of Gift of Health, and we are both certified lifestyle medicine doctors. At Gift of Health, we are teaching people how to break free from disease and medications and reverse lifestyle diseases such as high blood pressure, diabetes, heart problems, high cholesterol, autoimmune diseases, acid reflux, and many other lifestyle-related gut diseases with better food and lifestyle.
Sean is saying your system is jet lagged. You got that right. You got that right, Sean. and we recovered from the jet lag.
How is the audio and video now? It's good. Let us know where you're joining us from, and also give a like or a love, share it widely on your Facebook. Let your friends and family members know that we are available for a live Q&A. You are welcome to ask anything under the sun, anything that is related to health related, lifestyle related, diet related, any questions that you may have. You are welcome to share here. Sound good? While some questions pile up, like we do have a few questions that some of you sent to us. This one, the question is, why is a plant-based protein better? Any guesses? Why is a plant-based protein better? Well, when we say plant-based protein, what we are referring to is beans and whole grains and vegetables, right? Like we want to clear this myth right from the outset. All plant-based foods have protein. Some plant-based foods have more amount of protein than the other. One misconception that many people have is that, when you eat plant-based, will I get enough protein? That not having enough protein is the last concern that you need to have when you're eating plant-based diet.
Or even let us ask you this: where do nutrients come from? Like, where do you find nutrients? Because I know this keeps coming up again and again, but like, if you just ask the simple question, where do you think nutrients come from? And seriously, like some of us, we still keep wondering, where do we get nutrients from? Because that's why there is so much confusion out there. Because if you see, like, where are the nutrients coming from? If you look, it's just coming from plants. That is the main source of nutrients. Whether the animals or anybody up higher on the chain, what are they depending on for the nutrients? Whether it is animals, fish, or
whether you're eating chicken,
yeah,
or pig, or cow, or fish, that animal gets the nutrients from plants. And so we don't have to go through the middle animal or middleman to get the nutrients. We can directly get the nutrients that we need from eating whole plants, different parts of the plants.
Yeah. And even when it comes to protein, where do you think the animals or humans get the protein from? So it comes from the plant. So protein, basically like animals, they take the amino acids. There are certain amino acids that can be produced by our body, and there are certain amino acids which our body can produce. So that's why we take certain amino acids from plants so that our body can produce proteins out of those amino acids. So in terms of concern for protein, actually plants, they are the foremost sources of protein when you look hard. So that's where, but it's so interesting that we always worry about protein when we try to shift to plant-based diet. We never worry about protein when we are eating animals. Of course, they are the ones that are getting their protein from plants. So coming to protein, so one is, yes, plants do have protein. So we need not worry whether plants contain protein. Now, the next set of question is plant-based protein better? So if you look at it, like food is a package. We don't just eat protein, carbohydrates, or fat. We will be fooling ourselves if we say to ourselves that, like, I'm just getting protein from this product, or I'm just getting fat or carbohydrate from this product. That's where the food industries try to confuse you. You don't eat a nutrient, you eat food. And when you look food, it's a package. It has protein, it has carbohydrate, it has different type of things. The only difference is they come in varying combinations. So when it comes to why do we say that plant protein is better? Because the package is definitely better when you look at animal based food. So when you're eating plant based food for your protein, you're not only getting the protein, you're getting the fiber, you're getting the antioxidant, phytonutrients, like all it's a winner package where you're getting all the nutrients and things that support your health, that boost your health. Whereas when you're getting the same protein from animal, what is happening? So one is, it is acidic in nature. So whenever we eat animal-based protein, it has to extract calcium from our bones to maintain a regular pH for our body. So in a way, when we are eating animal-based protein, one is it increases production of acid, which leads to acid reflux. It also leads to losing calcium from our bones. And the other thing is, it is not protective in nature. It doesn't come with antioxidants or any other package that we get from plants. So it's always better to get the protein from plant. It's just like buying a cell phone. Like when you buy the cell phone, you look at the package, right? Am I getting certain features? So you always go for a cell phone which has greater features. So even this one is like this. When you compare plant protein and animal protein, plant protein definitely has better features when compared to animal protein.
So the thing is, in the animal foods, the animal protein is packaged with cholesterol, and it is packaged with saturated fat, and it is packaged with a lot of bacteria. You see, what is animal protein? It is basically animal muscle, right? Any animal muscle, you know that if you just leave it on the kitchen counter, it just like decays and rots. That is because of all the bacteria that are lying on those animals, animal like flesh. That bacteria increases inflammation. It even it causes a phenomenon that mimics like autoimmune disease processes as well. Like, so you'll notice that the more animal-based foods that someone takes, there is a higher risk of getting inflammatory conditions and also autoimmune conditions as well.
So we got a question related to that. What plants do I eat for protein?
So when you look at the plant-based foods, you could broadly divide them into legumes, which are beans and lentils. And then you have whole grains, which can be like steel cut oats or rolled oats or quinoa or brown rice. And then you have seeds like flax seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, and you have vegetables, lots of different kinds of vegetables, green leafy vegetables, non-green leafy vegetables, and different kinds of fruits. The good news is when you eat any of these, you'll get the protein that your body needs. So you don't have to worry about not getting enough protein. Like if you have, let's say, for example, today we had a bowl of oatmeal. Like we took a cup of cooked steel cut oats, added some soy milk to it, a spoon of flax seeds, a spoon of chia seeds, and some blueberries, some pumpkin pie spice. So just in that bowl, it had over 18 grams of protein in it. And for lunch, we had chickpeas and rice. So we had a cup of brown rice and a cup of chickpeas, and Shobha made this delicious beetroot and cauliflower dry curry. So we had chickpeas, beetroot, and brown rice, and like together there were over 20 grams of protein on that dinner plate. So the bottom line is when you eat a variety of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, nuts, and seeds, you'll get all the protein that you need.
Yeah. So Shirley is asking, is it good to skip breakfast and just have 2 meals a day?
Well, when you're talking about 2 meals a day, what you're asking is basically is doing fasting, like a intermittent fasting. Is it good for me? There is plenty of evidence, research showing that like intermittent fasting, which is time restricted feeding, like you basically you may maybe either eat 3 meals a day or 2 meals a day within a certain period of time, and you don't eat for about 14 to 15 hours a day. The longer the periods of fast, it's better for us, especially if you're doing it along in conjunction with the plant-based eating. It is beneficial. But if you're eating all kinds of animal-based foods and processed foods and do intermittent fasting, then you get less benefits of fasting.
Yeah.
When it comes to
like when you look at food, it's like fuel. So when we are not doing much activity, and or when we are of a certain age, when our activity is low compared to previous, I mean, it doesn't hurt to go back to 2 meals. But let's say like when the physical activity is more and you're hungry, so it's not a bad idea to eat 3 meals. But we don't have to stick to the notion that we have to take 3 meals every day. If we are not doing much activity, like going for 2 meals a day is not a bad idea.
And if you're asking whether it is good to skip breakfast and go for lunch and supper, versus is it better to have like a brunch and like a late lunch, research is showing it's better to front load the calories. That means it's better to have bigger meals for breakfast and lunch compared to skipping the breakfast and having a bigger lunch and bigger supper. Because it's very interesting, because the food that we eat, it is digested not only by the enzymes that we have, but the food is also digested by the trillions and trillions of bacteria, which is called like microbiome. So these enzymes and the microbiome, the gut bacteria, these are more active when the sunlight is there, when the sun is on. So they're just like these bacteria are like little animals. Like so when the sun is on, you'll see that when the sunlight is there, when the daylight is there, your digestive system works better. It's better for you to have a bigger breakfast and like a medium-sized lunch and very like small supper compared to like no breakfast or small breakfast versus like a medium-sized lunch and large supper. So what we are suggesting is it's better to have eat more in the first half of the day and eat less in the second half of the day.
So Stephanie is asking your favorite pack to-go meal that don't require heating. Nice to see you, Stephanie. And when it comes to meals that don't require heating, simply we can think in terms of, let's say, like if you're putting overnight oats, you're just throwing in oats, fruits, milk, you just pack it. And when you take it for lunch, like no heating is required, no cooking is required, and that's good to go. The other way of thinking is fresh produce. So let's say if you're making in the form of salads, if you're mostly using greens, fresh vegetables, and all those kind of things, no heating is required. So even like that can be taken as a packed meal. So, and the dressing, like just vinegars or oil-free dressings, they go very well. So you could just take the dressing and pack your salad. So that's one idea. The other thing
so
is,
the only thing is with the salad, you do want to include, like if you want that salad to hold you, you do want to include a cup of beans or a cup of a grain, like either a quinoa, something you put in the salad. If you just take vegetables or greens, then they may not hold you that long.
Yeah. And the other thing is thinking in terms of mixed grain and veggies. For example, like when you're making a tabbouleh, or so where you're using parsley and you're using grain, like in that dish bulgur is used. But like we can be creative as well, like we can have quinoa, and the vegetables can be finely chopped. So you could just mix quinoa and finely chopped vegetables and put a nice dressing. It could be the curry dressing or just vinegars. So even they make great packed meals, which don't require heating. And the other idea is like tofu, where you can just put that on the griddler and you can use a favorite spice, where you can also cut them in the form of a strips. So either you can add to your salads, whichever lunch you're taking, or you could just take the tofu strips in itself.
So we're talking about the extra firm tofu.
Yeah.
You could make like different, you could either make cubes, or you could make strips. They go very well in, you could pack that in a wrap along with vegetables, or you can put them in a sandwich as well. And chickpea salad, right? Mm-hmm. Like the chickpea salad. All these recipes are on the Gift of Health site. Like chickpea salad is one thing that you could put it in a wrap or a sandwich.
Yeah, the thing is, sometimes I know, like when you're putting in the wrap and sandwich, it gets soggy or it doesn't feel good. But what you can do is when you're taking the chickpea sandwich, you can have lettuce. So maybe like you can make it in the form of lettuce wrap. The other thing is you can stuff the pepper with the chickpea salad. So you could just take the raw pepper and cut the top off, and you could just fill in with your chickpea salad. And you can also put some lettuce, tomato. So all those things, they make a great filling as well. So these are couple ideas, like where you can take the packed meals and not worry about heating.
Other thing is, even if you make a soup or a stew, you could, like, let's say you pack it in the morning and you just heat it at home and you take it home. I've done this many times. I just take either a lentil soup or a vegetable soup or lentil vegetable stews along with mix it with the rice. Just heat it up at home. And when I take it to work, it's at the room temperature. It's fine. You don't have to have that soup or stew really warm. As long as it's not chilly cold, it's just room temperature. It's fine. So yeah, don't let it hold you back that you got to have warm things. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other idea is, so let's say even if you're particular about keeping our food warm, investing in hot packs is not a bad idea. So you can pack your lunches in that hot packs, and they keep the food warm. At least the food doesn't get cold. So even if the food comes to room temperature, it doesn't get cold much. Yeah.
So Michelle is asking, I have diverticulitis, celiac disease, Crohn's and colitis and diabetes. I'm not allowed to eat many products and my choices are very limited. What do you suggest? Michelle, thanks for sharing that. Like, looks like you have many things going on and it's difficult to handle all these things at the same time. But the good thing is, even when you have all these conditions, it is possible to find the things that your body will like and adjust. There are a lot of misconceptions around diverticulitis. Like, one thing is, when it comes to diverticulitis, many people believe that they shouldn't be eating seeds, but that's not, there is no evidence for that. Evidence actually shows, research shows that eating like seeds, like hemp seeds or chia seeds or flax seeds or pumpkin seeds and nuts are, when they are prepared like well, these are beneficial to you, so you don't have to avoid any nuts and seeds. So that's one misconception. When you have celiac, it's important that you stay gluten free. That means you keep away from wheat, rye, and barley, because you want to avoid the gluten protein because of celiac. So the good news is, even when you have celiac, we actually have many of our students who had celiac and still able to transition to a plant-based eating with not much trouble. So because you have lots of choices of grains, like you could eat quinoa or brown rice or gluten-free steel-cut oats or teff or amaranth. So there are many choices of grains that you could eat for a celiac. When it comes to diabetes, it's important to stick with whole foods. Like, rather than going for the flour, you stick with the intact grains. Intact grains can be quinoa or teff or amaranth or brown rice, which are gluten-free. And also they have a lower glycemic index. That means they raise your blood sugar much more gradually compared to flour-based foods. When you have Crohn's, the best thing you could do when you have Crohn's is to try a plant-based diet. Research shows that when you eat whole foods that are plant-based, lots of vegetables and whole grains, beans, nuts, and seeds, you could literally put your Crohn's under remission. So in package, like with the stuff that you're struggling from, the diverticulitis, celiac, Crohn's, colitis, and diabetes, the best thing you can do is to switch to a whole food plant-based way of eating, but you do need some tweaks. What I would suggest is, like, we try to guide you in the right direction, but you seem to be someone who will need more specialized attention, like in the sense, like, you're welcome to join our 6-week Gift of Health program, where we could tailor your tailor according to your nutritional needs, or you could even work one-on-one with us. You could book an appointment from the Gift of Health site as well. So you have choices, like this is something that can be done, but you just have to work with someone on a long-term basis. Like, this is not something that we could just say, hey, you do this, do this, do this. When you are struggling with so many health issues, it's important that you do it properly. Michael is asking, I used to eat tub of ice cream every night faithfully. Since I got the advice from you, I don't even purchase any more ice cream. I don't even miss it anymore. Good for you, Michael. Good for you, Mike. Good. Like, ice cream, especially when it is made with cow's milk, it's not healthy at all. Like, ice cream is nothing but cow's milk fat plus sugar. It has a lot of saturated fat. It increases your blood sugars rapidly. It causes a lot of inflammation, and it's hard to burn that. It's so easy to eat that, right? Like, if you just eat um, a cup of ice cream, you may have to run like 2 hours on the treadmill to burn it. But if you want, if you go to the Gift of Health site, you could make some nice cream, which is you could make it with like some frozen bananas, or frozen fruit like strawberries, or frozen blueberries, or frozen cherries. It's so easy to make delicious frozen fruit-based ice cream that you can enjoy, and you don't have to feel bad about it. Okay, so we're moving on.
We got another question.
This is from Heather. She's asking, why am I not losing weight on a plant-based diet?
This was interesting. Like, before you answer this, like this week, like last week, we traveled to UK, and I found an interesting thing. So on their menu, they had the dishes, and they listed the calories as well. Like, for on the menu for every dish, they had the calories listed. And I was looking at the calories for animal-based dishes and also like plant-based. So they did have vegan options as well. And it was interesting to note, like, even for vegan options, the calories were very high. So sometimes we might fool ourselves thinking that we are eating plant-based, but why is that we are not losing weight? So when we say plant-based diet, are we leaning more towards the processed food, or are we leaning more towards the whole food? So even in plant-based, it's very easy to load on calories. And especially when you're making processed dishes, like, they're very rich in fat. So even on the menu, it was interesting to note, like each dish, just a single serving of that dish had like 1,200 to 1,400 calories. So that is like one tip or one thing to be aware of and keep in mind. And I'll let you answer, like, why am I not losing weight on?
Yeah, that's the core, right? Like,
Yeah.
what you just mentioned. Just because something is plant-based doesn't mean it's healthy. We fall into the trap thinking that, oh, it's a plant-based. Just because something is plant-based doesn't mean it's healthy. Because plant-based, you could have French fries, you could have chips, or a donut, or cakes and ice creams, and many these can be plant-based, made with processed ingredients such as oil and sugar, like vegan butters and vegan margarine. So plant-based diet is a spectrum. On one end, the healthiest end, you have the whole foods that are basically like the beans and legumes, lentils, whole grains, fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds on one end. On the other end of the spectrum, you have processed, like burgers and pizzas and cakes and like processed cheese and processed butter, plant-based, which are loaded with oil, sugar, flour, and salt. So many people, like we have seen in many of our programs, that when they try eating plant-based, what do you go to? You go towards the foods that you're familiar with. Like if you're used to eating like pizzas or burgers or pancakes or waffles, you try to go, like if you're not familiar with this information, you'll just look for plant-based pizzas and burgers and waffles or pancakes or cheese. But most of the store-bought plant-based stuff, it is heavily processed with oil, salt, and sugar and flour. So that's why it's very important to do the plant-based eating in the right way. The right way is where your body will thank you. You'll have more energy, and your body becomes like a self-healing machine. And that happens when you stick with whole foods or minimally processed plant-based foods. Could be like brown rice or oats or potatoes or sweet potatoes. Like you can make all kinds of dishes with this. You can make pancakes, pastas, pizzas, popcorn, even ice cream. You could make all these things and enjoy all those things without sabotaging your health. So don't fall for the trap. Like plant-based, it's a huge spectrum. And just because something is vegan doesn't mean it's healthy. If you notice that we actually don't use this word vegan much to describe what we recommend. The better way to indicate or talk about the food choices we find is, yes, it is plant-based. Also, you want to use this word whole foods plant-based. Because if you just say, like, I'm on a vegan diet, it doesn't tell us much about what you eat. It only tells me what you don't eat. When you say I'm on a vegan diet, it just tells me that you don't eat animal products. But you could be eating French fries and chips and popcorn and processed vegan plant-based foods. So the goal is not to just move towards vegan. It's better to go for a whole food vegan or a whole foods plant-based. Yes, there are benefits. Like when you go to a vegan diet, it's more environmentally sustainable, and it is also more friendly, more kinder to the animals. But don't forget, when you're eating the processed vegan junk, you are not so being kind to yourself, who, I mean, you are the most important animal. So, isn't it important for us to take care of ourselves with better foods rather than eating foods that may be good for the environment, but not so good for us? Okay, here is a question. Can I do a low carb on a plant-based diet? First of all, why do you want to do low carb? Because you might have heard that low carb diet is good for me, and
or carbs make you fat.
Yeah, but that's far from true. Like the thing is, carbohydrates are not the villain. It depends. Carbohydrates again are a spectrum, right? Some carbohydrates, like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, nut, like healthy starches like sweet potato, corn, like these are, as long as they are not processed or minimally processed, close to their natural form, these are healthy foods. What you want to stay away from are the processed carbohydrates, like that include sugar, and sugar shows up in many forms. So sugar is in you could see it as a brown sugar or maple syrup or honey or agave or
fructose, galactose,
high fructose corn syrup. Yeah. so many arcane syrup. So many ways sugar could be hiding. So you want to avoid the processed carbohydrates like sugar, flour, and the processed like candies and cookies, the store-bought baked goods. These are the foods that you want to avoid, but you don't need to avoid unprocessed or minimally processed carbohydrates um, fruits and vegetables and whole grains and beans and nuts and seeds. Like you could enjoy these foods.
Sean is saying, you guys don't look like carbs are hurting you.
No, like actually, I just for tracking, I tracked my nutrition today on chronometer, and I was looking like I had about almost 300 grams of carbohydrates, but all the carbohydrates were like whole carbohydrates, like they were coming from chickpeas, coming from oats, coming from beans, coming from blueberries, banana, like clementine, blackberries, like all the carbohydrates that I was getting uh, were mainly the minimally processed or the unprocessed carbohydrates. So you don't need to go low carb when you're eating whole foods that are plant-based. But if you want to do low carb and high fat, high protein on the plant-based diet, that can be done. You can do it. It's just that like your diet will have more beans, more nuts, more seeds, more avocados. It can be done. But I mean, in our like scrolling through all the published evidence on this, we did not find any benefits of doing a low carb plant-based diet. If you just do the whole food plant-based way of eating and sticking with unprocessed, minimally processed carbohydrates, you are good to go.
Okay. So while we were talking about sugar, so Susan is asking, what would you add to baked beans?
You could get really creative with baked beans. Like common things that many people add. We are in Newfoundland, and baked beans is one of the staple here. So we have seen different kinds of recipes for this. But the best recipe for baked beans, I would say, is on the Giftofhealth site. And the recipe is from our dear friend Tracy's mom. She made this baked beans, and there are secret surprise ingredients in it, which are like a pineapple. Like she makes baked beans and she puts some pineapple in it. You could add some molasses. You could add peppers and onions. So many ways you can try baked beans.
Yeah. So the sweetness, like you can also decrease molasses and add sweet fruits like pineapple. It gives you some sweetness, so where you don't have to use much molasses.
Dennis is saying, I made your 3-ingredient lentil soup on your site and it was delicious. It's our favorite too, Dennis. It's so easy to make. Just add the ingredients, put them in the Instant Pot or over the stove top, and just it will be done in a few minutes. Excellent. Sean is saying he adds a little bit of agave. Yeah. Susan, she's saying honey beans are sweet on their own, and she cooks them with red onions and pepper. Excellent. Yeah. You can get really creative with baked beans, actually. I was thinking this morning, like I made this, we have a recipe for black bean brownie on the website. So the black bean brownies, they have cooked black beans, oats, cocoa powder, vanilla extract, a little bit of baking powder, and some chocolate chips. So, and did I say vanilla extract? Yeah, I did. Yeah. So I was trying to recreate that black bean brownie in a smoothie. Like instead of making so I put cooked black beans and uh, like I took a cup of cooked black beans, a cup of blueberries, a banana, a cup of soy milk, and a 1/4 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice and a half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Blended all of them, and it was so delicious. It was filling. Uh, Blueberries and banana gave us so much sweetness. Vanilla extract and pumpkin pie spice gave so much flavor, and I didn't even taste any beans in it. And that had 24 grams of protein and 22 grams of fiber. So I was thinking, like when I made that, maybe when we make the black beans, even you can add blueberries. Like if you just let.
So Michelle is asking, did you add cocoa too?
Yeah,
like for
just
the
yeah, I did.
Did you add to the bean smoothie?
No, I actually didn't add. Yeah, no, but you could add cocoa, 1 tablespoon of cocoa powder. That's fine. Yesterday I made black bean brownie in a bowl. So today I tried like a smoothie, but I didn't add the cocoa powder. But yesterday I took a cup of black beans. I added half a cup of oats, and I put 1 teaspoon of. I'm sorry, 1 tablespoon of cocoa powder, and I added half of a sweet potato, vanilla extract, and pumpkin pie spice, and added just like a teaspoon and half of maple syrup, and that was just fine. Like that was a black bean brownie in a bowl. You could add more sweetener to it as well. But today, I tried those similar ingredients in a smoothie without putting the cocoa powder.
Yeah. What I find is when you're adding cocoa powder to the smoothie, it gives little bit of that tart taste, which
You could do. You could
some
put cocoa
bit,
powder,
yeah, a little bit of bitter taste comes.
Yeah, but you could put cocoa powder, but don't put too much.
Yeah.
Just whatever you, because the way the chocolate is made so sweet is because, especially to take the bitterness out of the cocoa, you have to add lots and lots of sugar, right? But since we are not putting too much sugar, just just a little bit of cocoa will give you that chocolate flavor.
Yeah. So Stephanie is saying everyone loves the baked beans here. Usually make a double batch on the weekends and freeze. Yes.
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So any more questions?
There's a question. Can a plant-based diet help with fibromyalgia? Fibromyalgia is a condition where you have inflammation of different muscles, different parts of the body, leading to you have pains in different parts of the body, and it's a very difficult condition to treat. And it's a chronic condition as well. Like many people with fibromyalgia, they've seen their family doctor, they've seen their specialists, and they've been on medications for a long time and still struggle with like chronic aches and pains. Um, we have seen people like with fibromyalgia that they've been, struggling for several years. When they tried whole food plant-based way of eating, within few weeks their fibromyalgia gotten better. Some of them completely reversed it, and many of them uh, either reduced their dependency on medication or were able to completely come off of medications and just manage with the better food and lifestyle. The thing is, when you eat plant-based foods like the whole grains, beans, fruits, and vegetables, these have a lot of anti-inflammatory substances, a lot of antioxidants, phytochemicals, and nutrients, vitamins, and minerals, which decrease inflammation in the body. Also, when you stay away from animal-based foods and the processed foods, you're cutting out um, the inflammatory substances that come from those, like the things like arachidonic acid and different types of saturated fat, the bacteria, the animal protein, the heme iron. These are so inflammatory. So you're avoiding them. And when you avoid the processed foods, you avoid like you minimize the intake of sugar, flour, oils, and uh, like a lot of food additives. Like when you cut these down, you decrease the inflammation in the body. So we have seen like amazing results, people getting amazing results when they switch to a plant-based diet, even with fibromyalgia as well. Good, good. So I think we have come to the end of the questions.
Mhm.
Let us know if you have any more questions.
Well, we can wrap this up.
Yeah, and also let us know what you'd like to see more of. Like, what would you like to see in this these weekly sessions? You're welcome to type it in the comments, send us a message. Like, we are here joining every week, um, like helping you. Our mission is to help you to make better food choices, better lifestyle choices, and help you along so that you could break free from chronic diseases, lifestyle diseases, and reduce dependency on medications. Maybe even say goodbye to many of the lifestyle diseases and find more energy, lose weight, and keep it off.
Okay, so have a wonderful rest of the evening and rest of the week, and we will see you next week. Yeah.
Fire one.
Bye bye.
I just want to read this comment for everyone. Stephanie saying, made overnight oats for lunch tomorrow while watching. Excellent, Stephanie. You're
Great.
happy for you. Excellent.
Yes.
Well, we sign off for today, tonight. We'll see you next week. Take care, everyone.